All right. This is not a ride sharing video. I repeat, this is not a ride sharing video. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Wanted to come on here. We tried to do a live stream last night, and I just wanted to. We're following up because, as you folks know, Trump is being indicted by a host of different jurisdictions. But I want to ask the question, particularly to my MAGA viewers: have we gotten to a point where there is no one, absolutely no one, that can speak ill of President Trump while simultaneously maintaining credibility? I have to ask this question because at the end of the day, there are a host of folks representing the GOP suggesting that everything from the Stop the Steal campaign to the election being taken is not true. Why are there so many Republicans suggesting that what President Trump stated is not true? That's what we're going to be talking about. 2020 election. What the hell happened? That is the sole purpose of today's live because I'm clueless. I'm hearing from a lot of you folks, and there's no shortage of folks that still believe what happened in 2020 was a Democratic steal. So I'm trying to find out from you folks. Do you believe there was enough evidence to back up Trump's claims that he won by a landslide? Do you believe there is enough evidence that has been presented so far to back up Trump stating that he won by a landslide? That's what we're going to be talking about. As always, the program is and shall forever remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred audience. Nevertheless, liberals are always welcome on the program as well. Looking in the comments, right off the bat, we got Ryan Andrews says absolutely. That's what I want to talk about. Taking folks in the box, taking folks in the comments. What has been presented so far to make you feel certain that the Democrats stole the election? What do you believe has been presented to give you that feeling with confidence? I'm willing to take any answer. As I make it clear, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. So understand, you don't have to agree with the host. The host is not going to censor or limit your time in any way, fashion, or form simply because we have a disagreement. You have a right to free speech. We're going to preserve that here on every broadcast. So looking in the comments, because I want to know, I see some folks are quipping back and saying absolutely nothing has been presented to show that the Democrats stole the election. I'm curious because there are millions of Americans, particularly MAGA, but there are millions of Americans that believe the election of 2020 was stolen. I need to know what's making them believe that. And a hell of a lot of you that tune in every day watching, particularly yours truly, that do believe that. So what do you believe has been presented so far that backs up Trump's claims that he should currently be sitting in the White House and that say Joseph R. Biden is a cheater? That's what I want to know. Looking in the comments, but 2,000 sheep said so. Be the goat. I don't know if they're sheep, but I want to know. I do want to know. I voted for Trump in 2016, then I voted for Biden in 2020. Wow. Dolores Taylor, I would be curious to know why. Many folks who supported Trump favored his policies, the economy. They liked the way he was handling the border. After 4 years in office, you chose to go with Biden. I'd be curious to know why. And box is open for anyone that wants to come in. As always, I don't block, ban, or censor your commentary. Wow, you are crazy, says Wesley Brown. Yours truly been crazy? You sound like my ex-wife in divorce court. However, I'll give you a chance to elaborate. What about yours truly leads you to believe that I sound crazy? What am I getting wrong? Let your boy know what I'm getting wrong. You can say it any damn way you want. I won't censor, block, or look down on you in any kind of way at all. Tell me what I'm getting wrong. What am I missing out on? The 2020 election. What evidence has been presented that you strongly believe shows that Joseph R. Biden is a fraud? I'm curious to know. I haven't seen it, but maybe I can be enlightened, so to speak. Everything says user 775. That doesn't say anything. I'm asking what evidence has been presented to show that Biden is a fraud, and your response is everything. That just simply says nothing. It really does. Man, the conservatives are all riled up like a bunch of bees. I bought my popcorn. I love conservatives. I lean left, no doubt, but this is a MAGA-friendly program. Every damn time I come out here, I make it clear that I do believe Republicans, conservatives, and particularly MAGA do not get a fair shake in the media. So I am here to make it clear that anytime you're on my program, I'm going to let you speak without any fear of being blocked, banned, or censored. We don't do that here. We allow the folks to speak. You shouldn't have to agree with somebody to allow them to speak. That's not how America works. That's certainly not how the First Amendment works, and that is never how we do it here. Biden is a general. Edward says Biden is a general dirtbag. What does that mean, though? And by the way, a dirtbag can still win. Nice guys sometimes finish last. We've all heard the saying, nice guys do not always finish first. So even if you believe Biden is a dirtbag, that's not evidence that he lost the election. Biden is old and have no clue when Monday is not Sunday, but he is no fraud. Dolores, well spoken. Certainly an open statement. I like that. You're not suggesting that Biden is the best, but you don't believe he's a fraud. Stop believing the Democratic lies, says Terry Dale. Well, I'm asking that question. Show me the evidence. Or you don't have to show any damn evidence. Give me what you believe is overwhelming evidence that President Biden does not deserve to be in the White House based on the 2020 election results. I don't want to hear about him being sleepy. I don't want to hear about him having dementia. I want to hear about him winning an election that he didn't supposed to win, that he didn't legally win. I want the evidence that has led particularly MAGA to suggest that he never won a 2020 election. Trump has stated he won by a landslide. I'm not seeing anything in the comment section. No one is in the box. I don't see anyone giving me evidence, giving me an explanation as to why Trump won by a landslide. I'm asking the question because he's telling folks all over the country that he won by a landslide. Trump is not alleging Democratic fraud. He's alleging he won. Facts, credible evidence, not just insults, says Dante. Exactly. That's what we're asking. Now, we can talk about any belief of fraud, but if you point to fraud, can you point to evidence to suggest that that fraud was being perpetrated in favor of the Democratic Party? I could show up, steal a bunch of ballots in the middle of the night. You could point it out that I'm a thief, but do you know I'm working for the Democratic Party, or do you know if I'm working for the Republican Party? Fraud does not automatically equate to Trump victory or Democratic cheating. That's an assumption. I need to see what is making folks on the right believe that Joseph R. Biden stole the election and that Trump is the rightful winner. That is what we're asking for. We see how folks behaved on January 6th. They truly believed an injustice had took place. Now, that's only 2 months and 2 days after the actual election took place. What evidence? What led those folks to act that way on January 6th, only 2 months, 2 days after the election? What evidence had they saw to do that? Going to the box, puff, puff, pass. Good morning, welcome to the program. Now, I'm going to ask you right off the bat, puff, puff. Do you believe that Biden is the rightful winner or not?
Yeah, but we don't have any proof to suggest any different than that. We have accusations, but we don't have any proof to say differently.
So why do you think Trump is saying he won by a landslide?
Because that's what he believes.
But is it based on any evidence, or is it just simply, is he stating something based on emotion or on actual evidence?
No, I think that he had teams of lawyers that said he did not win, and he had teams of lawyers that said he did. And I think if you take his personality, he sided with the teams of lawyers that said he did. I think he looks at things like a lot of Americans look at things, to be honest with you. Let me give you a reason why a lot of Americans think that. We watched for months and months and months. We watched every boat you could have come down the the lakes with Trump flags. We had every highway, every bridge, every coliseum filled up, and he equated rallies to votes, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he equate that. You know what I'm saying? Everything we see Joe Biden have 6 circles with 6 people not showing up. So I think them images showed back and forth, created a narrative. There's plenty of suspicious stuff. And here's my next question to you.
Sure.
People think, look, I can't believe the Democrats are so stupid that they're going to let Trump put. They know that. I have to ask myself the question: why are you going to allow this? Now there's discovery. Now, you know what I'm saying? So if he has evidence, now's the place it will be admitted, because he gets to cross-examine. So let me give you an example. When they say to him, "You knew it was fraud, and they told you it was fraud, and you said it wasn't," and the examples are like, "Well, Bill Barr or this agency or Homeland Security told you." But what you're not going to hear, what you haven't heard is that now he gets to call them witnesses on the stand and say, "Okay, did you investigate this? How many agents did you put on this claim that we made fraud? What did you do? Did you put any investigators on it?" And then when you might find out that, wait a minute, there might not have been as much investigation. It was just said, and we just told you it was. So you get to have a cross-examination now.
But let me respond to that. Now, and this is what probably you, I, and a hell of a lot of voters want, because if Trump believes the election is stolen, I do believe he should get his day in court to produce what evidence led him to believe that. So you're saying that when he demanded these various agencies, various governments to investigate claims of theft and things like that, he can suggest that they didn't follow through. The point I want to make, remember the mom and daughter duo, the pollsters in Georgia that Trump was saying was hiding votes and things like that? They're suing Giuliani and members of the Trump administration because now they were investigated by Governor Kemp, a Republican governor in Georgia, when Trump has made all these claims that these two women were stealing votes and not letting people close enough to him and things like that. I think here's the problem. Based on what you said when he presented his evidence, I think there's a hell of a lot of counter evidence to show that various people of high authority was telling Trump some of his claims were not true, and he continued to say them anyway.
No, I know, I agree with that. So the bigger concern is this. So it's a catch-22. Do I think for our government, for us, for people, that we should have to trust our election system where each election is not questioned every election? I think that all the evidence needs to come out, regardless of which way it plays. And you're very likely that there's very to have that. But like, for example, the case you brought up in Georgia, it kind of was brought up, but there was kind of things it didn't allow, because factually, they did shut the building down for the evening and said we were done counting, and they sent all the Republican watchers and voters out. Factually, they did open back up and didn't have Republicans in there. Factually, they did take these big boxes that weren't in ballot boxes, and they did pull them from under the table and factually run them through the machine. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there's never been a real question to that. There's never been no real answer. Like, the only answer's been, there's nothing there. Shut up. You're election denier. Well, that's not fair to Americans.
But here's the rebuttal to that. There's a difference between something not looking right, like you're talking about shutting the building down, not letting Republicans have access to things. There is a difference between pointing out something like that and jumping to saying, well, if they didn't do this, that means we won. And that's where the problem is.
I don't disagree, because you don't know if that amount of votes they put in there was enough to make the difference in the first place. But there's plenty of questions that everybody needs answered one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? And we've not had, and in a criminal case, you can't shut it down. It's not an individual judge says, well, that's not, it's a little easier to shut down evidence. You get the right to present your evidence. But here's the bigger question. I don't think it's about this at all. This is my honest opinion. I don't think there's a conviction there, or they want a conviction there. I don't think there is, because it's setting a precedence that's not healthy for me and you. Basically, it's saying in law that if an agency of a law agency comes and tells you one thing, and one group of lawyers are telling you another, but you find another group of lawyers that's saying something opposite, if you seek them lawyers, now all of a sudden you and your lawyers have conspired to not read the law right.
But where are the lawyers that told Trump you won by a landslide? I want to see him present those lawyers.
And we will, I think, or you will. But anyways, I don't think it'll go that far, to be honest with you, Handsome. To be honest with you, this is what I think at totality, what I think is going on. All right, I think there's two things going on. I think our country is trying to set a precedence trying to figure some wonky way of getting trust established in elections again, for one. But I think the Democratic Party wants Trump to have the nomination. I think they feel their best chance of holding office again is Trump running, and they're securing him a nomination on his side right now.
How so? How do you come to that conclusion?
Well, because every time he gets indicted, his polls go up more. Every time he gets indicted, people, I mean, it's looked at like you're reaching for straws. Everybody's like, it's the same exact people that come out and voted for Biden that didn't vote for Biden. I've heard you agree with it. They come out to vote against Trump. They didn't come out to vote for Biden. Okay? So that same exact effect. They're coming out to vote against the system because they see the system. So I think that's for one, I think that secures him, and I think they got a better chance of beating him because then he has to be in court trials. All of the news will be about him, and Biden can sit in the basement again. And
let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this. Do you, because now you're a Trump supporter, correct?
Yeah.
Do you believe Trump is a credible individual?
Well, elaborate credible, please.
Dominion voting machines. But they said about Dominion voting machines, Trump himself included in that. Do you believe that was credible information that they released?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not one of them ones. That's part of the problem. We all assume.
But but Puff, it's been litigated in court. They settled. Wait a minute, hold on. Fox News had the most to gain to proving what Trump said was accurate, and they chose to settle for $750 million.
Well, yeah, that happens all the time. But secondly, when you say Fox News, that's just one and the same as any other news.
No, we're not talking about the news organization. We're talking about the money. If they believe what Trump said was true, you think they would have settled for $750 million? You don't think they would have tried to present that as fact?
No, I think there's too much. I think there's more politics behind it than that. I think there's a lot more politics behind it than that.
$750 million. You're saying politics overrode $750 million? They just gave that up?
No, because there could have been an element of that thing that you don't have to have the whole truth to get. There could be elements of what he said was correct, but it's been elements that's not correct, and it's enough to convict and to find so much more than that. People settle all the time just because it makes sense to settle because it's costing you money to keep going. It's going to cost you money in the long run in the beginning.
It ain't going to cost you $750 million to keep going.
But regardless, to think about this in itself, just honestly, when your charge is conspiracy to commit fraud, what they're saying is that you knew it wasn't fraud and you still pushed it was fraud, and I think out of everybody on the planet, the one that believes he was robbed the most is Trump. So how are you going to convince 12 jurors that he didn't believe it was fraud and he knew it wasn't fraud and he was committing a hoax? How you convince that is beyond me. And then
I can answer that. I can answer that.
Before you do, if you did, I can go back. Every single Republican election has been contested. Democrats, Hillary Clinton she come out and conceded that he won, but spent the next 3 years saying he's an illegitimate president. She said it today to present. So she knows he's the duly elected president. I mean, Nancy Pelosi come out and literally said that our election was stolen. By Russia.
Okay, I will say this. Now, there are some legitimate claims, whether it's how Al Gore said the election was stolen, Hillary Clinton said it in 2016. Those are legitimate claims that can be made in terms of getting sympathy for President Trump. Why you're treating me differently when I say the election's stolen, but you didn't do it to Al Gore and you didn't do it to Hillary Clinton. That is a genuine concern from a point of sympathy. However, that won't be of any use in court. Going to court and saying, why didn't you...
I agree. That's the purpose of that statement is because of precedence. What we're doing here is setting precedence because you, as well as you've been around long enough, you understand politics. This pendulum swings back. Right now, it's in favor of one side's narrative, but this pendulum swings around. It comes full circle. And then when the narrative's on the other side, you set a precedence of thing that's not healthy for me, you and me. We cannot start going to the point that you have to admit this, we are investigating people for crimes now instead of crimes for people. when we get to the point that we're investigating men and women for crimes, to go investigate that man and find a crime they've done, it's not what we are as a country. That's a banana republic.
But when have we not been like it? Even President Trump, Rudolph Giuliani, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who Trump pardoned, they all support stop and frisk. That's exactly what you're talking about. Proactively going after somebody before any crime is committed.
No, I get your parallel, but and we stopped stop and frisk too, did we not? We found out.
No, we haven't. They're trying to bring it back. I mean, hang on, let me respond to you. Look at what Governor DeSantis is doing in Florida, because there are states up north that give undocumented residents driver's licenses. He is now telling his police officers that you do not have to recognize the driver's license of somebody that doesn't have citizenship. How are they going to find that out without profiling the person?
Well, I don't disagree. Well, but let's don't complain of the profiling. I can get the parallels you can run with the profiling and stop and frisk, but I think that's a stretch. But where I'm getting to is that, and we did change. It's not a law, but they are trying to get it back. I agree. But when you run down that road, think about this. When we have people that run for office and their campaign is, if you elect me, I will get that man arrested. I will find a crime on that person or that female or that person. That's not how we operate. That goes against presumption of innocence.
But where did that matter? The woman that's in the state of Nevada, she became a judge by promising, if you elect me, I'll go after O.J. Simpson. She got elected, did exactly that, and the guy got 9 years in prison. I didn't hear any folks on the right complaining about that. That's exactly what happened.
No, well, again, because you didn't hear it, I would have the same argument then too. I had the same argument when everybody walks around the streets calling O.J. Simpson guilty. At the end of the day, his jury of his peers found him innocent. In our laws, he's innocent. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, fair enough. I do got to move it on, but I just want to say this. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. A lot of things that Trump is claiming that he's being victimized by, he didn't have a problem when it was being done to other people, like the stop and frisk argument I just made with you. But, Puff, you're always welcome back. Good talk.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Absolute. As always, folks, I make it clear on every broadcast, it's not about whether we agree or disagree. I believe the people should be able to speak, and that's what we do here. So, by the way, if 800 plus of you in here on TikTok, tap the screen, get your boy up to 20,000 likes. I haven't asked you folks to show any appreciation. You guys simulcasting on YouTube, I appreciate you watching as well. But tap the screen, get your boy up to 20,000 likes. I'll go back to the box. Real quick in the comments, Trump is never a victim. He creates victims. I'm not 100% certain of that. I'm not 100% certain that a more well-spoken, more, I won't say morally correct, but a person that was more of a gentleman would be facing the same charges as Trump. I do believe there are people who are going after President Trump because of how he acts, particularly that case in New York where he paid Stormy Daniels with campaign funds. I don't think most presidents would have been facing that. I do believe that if you insult on the regular and continue to attack prominent members of society, there's going to be a consequence to that. And I see Beauty with Essence is saying they targeting them. Yeah. If I went around as a hobby criticizing cops, criticizing all of my local government officials, the mayor, maybe the city council member, talking about their families, talking about their wives, you think I wouldn't suddenly start getting parking tickets and shit? You don't think there would be no consequence to that at all? That is where I believe MAGA is getting it wrong. That Trump should be able to just talk about senators, talk about generals, say all kinds of negative shit about congressmen, former presidents, and there should be zero consequence to that. They should all play by the rules and let him embarrass the fuck out of them constantly. I don't understand why people believe that. I just don't see where that makes any sense at all. Going back to the boxing, real quick in the comments, somebody said they do it to him and their shit is false, says true. See, I can't pronounce the name, but countering with he's only doing it as self-defense is not going to work. Colin Kaepernick was not talking about President Trump. Hell, LeBron James was not talking about President Trump. Trump is one after a hell of a lot of people that was not talking about him first. The idea that he's only going after people in self-defense is a flat-out lie. Trump goes after people because it is opportunity and beneficial to him in his campaign. It drives his supporters wild. But it's not always a case of self-defense. Sometimes it just makes sense politically to attack somebody that maybe is burning a flag or taking a knee or doing something that he thinks is unpatriotic because it makes folks go insane at the rallies. It's not always self-defense. Don't even try that. Going back to the box, Itchy Banks. Good afternoon, Itchy Banks. So what do you think?
What's going on? What's going on? Been a long time.
You said, repeat that, I didn't hear you.
I said it's been a long time.
Good, well, appreciate you coming back. So have you seen enough evidence to suggest that Biden was a fraudulent president, where he never should have been put in office, where Trump actually won this election?
Man, Trump got dog walked in the election. And he's gonna get dog walked next election.
I don't know. Obama has met with Biden and let him know you should be a bit worrisome. Trump has a lot of strong support. I wouldn't say he's going to get dog walked.
It hasn't grown. Yeah, it hasn't grown though.
Neither.
I've told you for 2 years. I've told you for 2 years. Donald Trump is going to do exactly what Donald Trump has always done, and that's destroy the Republican Party. And I still stand on that.
But in regards to the statement that Trump's support has not grown, I have to rebut with this. Has Biden's support grown?
No, but it doesn't matter. We didn't vote for Biden in the first place.
True. That is true. So if you don't see any evidence to your belief.
And on top of that, Biden has done a damn good job, even though we didn't vote for him.
So if you believe Biden has done a damn good job, why does his poll number suggest that even among African-American men, they don't feel that confident with him?
Because he's old.
That's it?
If Joe Biden was, that's it. That's it. If Joe Biden was 54 years old, it'd be a runaway election right now.
So the only reason us liberals are not showing Biden love is because of his age. So are you saying we're all ageist?
No. Yes. Yes.
The Liberal Party is ageist. Wow. Aren't we the ones that normally criticize people for that?
Yeah, I mean, but, it's always hard to look in a mirror and tell and admit your flaw. But the fact is, with everything that this man has accomplished, I'm not saying he's great because there's no such thing as a great Democrat. When you have one party that's not doing anything, the other party can do very little and look like they're doing something. So when I say that he's moving the needle, it's not because he's doing a great job, but what I thought that he was gonna be, he's far outseeded what I thought he was gonna be.
Let me ask you this. This is a little bit bending the subject a bit, and we'll talk about Biden's accomplishments as you're talking about in a minute, because that's definitely worthy of a pushback. But I want to ask you this in the comments. Truth Seeker says 2020 was the biggest military sting operation in American history to save America. What do you do with a comment like that? How do you interpret that?
I don't.
Biggest military sting operation in American history to save this country.
I would like to know what he means by that.
Yeah, me too.
I would like to know what he means by that.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, what is, yeah, I don't get that one either. Somebody says he don't know. Joe has done nothing. Now, you mentioned Biden has accomplished quite a bit, even though his poll numbers are low. Now, Kuhan Lucas in the comments says, Joe has done nothing good. He sold the United States out. So his opinion is 180 degrees different from yours. I need you to elaborate. What the hell has Joe Biden done that Kuhan Lucas seems to not notice?
If nothing else, have you seen any riots on the streets since Biden was elected?
That is true. The summer of 2020 was pretty violent under Trump. There has not been a hell of a lot of protests or riots under Biden. I agree.
It wasn't just the summer of 2020. his whole candidacy was engulfed in violence. His whole, from the day he came into office to the day we finally booted his ass up out of office, his whole campaign was riddled with violence. White supremacy violence jumped up almost 5% the day he came into office. So, if nothing else, that's not even mentioning the CHIP Act, that's not mentioning infrastructure, that's not mentioning getting Mexico to spend $1 billion on border security, that's not mentioning all the jobs that he's brought back, over $7 million jobs on top of the jobs we lost during COVID. It's not mentioning any of that.
Right.
The fact that we don't have to walk outside our house and wonder what these Confederate soldiers gonna do from a day-to-day basis is a great thing.
Wow. So I got to move it on, but let me just ask you this real quick. You know how they graded us in school, A, B, C, D, F. If you had to give Biden a letter grade, where would you give him? Based on what you're saying, it sounds like it's pretty high. What letter grade would you give Biden's performance so far?
Because of what I said the first time when I said that Democrats don't have to do much because Republicans do nothing, I would give him a B plus, A minus.
An A minus to a B plus. And just as a follow-up, what letter grade would you give 4 years of President Trump?
I would have put him out my classroom.
I gotta go, Itchy. Appreciate you coming in. Now, I asked what letter grade would he have given Trump, and he said he would have literally put him out the classroom. Wow, that's bad. I failed one class in high school. Never got put out the class. Damn. All right, and I see in the comments, who said that? I saw in the comments somebody said, my 3 kids says dropout. It's the difference between a student dropping out of class and the teacher actually forcing them to drop out due to lack of performance. Wow, that was strong. It was not that funny, says James Hart. Yeah, because you don't agree with it. That shit was hilarious to yours truly. You've never had to worry about Confederate soldiers in your lifetime, says Doughboy69. No, you don't have to worry about Confederate soldiers. There is no Confederate soldiers in America, but there's a hell of a lot of supporters of the Confederacy. If you want to point to the improper wording, okay, you do have a point. Just like there are no members of the Third Reich anywhere in the country, anywhere on the planet. The Third Reich does no longer exist. It was, basically destroyed along with the Fuhrer in World War II. But there's a hell of a lot of sympathizers of the Third Reich all around the world. So you're pointing out the wording, you're correct, but you got to take in consideration there are people who sympathize with the movement and would happily follow up on what their ideology. All right, looking back in the box, or maybe I'll go back to the box shortly. Somebody says Trump is a racist traitor. How so? I would like to elaborate on that. I get folks all the time that suggest President Trump is intolerant, doesn't like blacks, doesn't like Hispanics, doesn't like women, doesn't like Muslims. I'd love to have you elaborate on that. But they all salute the hate. If we're talking about the Confederacy, there is a hell of a lot of hatred among that movement. Of course, anyone, literally anyone, waving around or donning the Confederate flag will deny that any hatred exists. They will deny that, certainly among themselves. But it's up to you, the viewer, to look at the movement, listen to the wording, and make your own decision. But no one in the history of this country, at least in power, most people deny being racist or intolerant. I mean, even the KKK, when asked, no, we're just here for the promotion of the white race. We don't hate anybody. Racism is something that people deny. So if you're looking for somebody to walk up to you and say, hi, I'm Tim, I'm a racist, it's just not going to happen. Most people deny that. Looking in the comments, they have racists among Democrats too, says Beauty with Essence. That is 100% true. I think that Farrakhan is a racist. Yeah, I agree with that. Thanks, President Biden, for low inflation. Is that sarcasm? Going back to the box. Biden for low inflation? Friend of the program, Andy. Good morning, Betty. Yeah, we're doing an early broadcast. Andy, have you seen enough?
Good morning.
Good morning. Have you seen enough to back up Trump's claims that he actually won by a landslide?
No.
Why is he saying it?
Because he wants to stay president and not go to prison.
Okay, well, we know in 2023, a little bit over a year from the next election, he's not going to be able to bring back the 2020 election. Yet he's continuing to say it. What is the hope?
His ego won't let it.
Huh?
His ego is too big.
So you
His
think?
ego is too big.
So it's all an ego move. But
Think about it. Nobody knows more than me about anything when he says it. Nobody knows more about finance. Nobody knows more about war. Nobody knows more about nuclear. Nobody, because he had an uncle that worked in nuclear. Remember that?
yeah. Nobody knows more about COVID. Trump certainly, nobody knows more. I think he said, I know more of what's going on the ground in Afghanistan than the generals. I think he even said that.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Why do people overlook that? I mean, is it like your crazy uncle that just said stuff at the barbecue?
I think some of them suffer from it too, because then they would have to admit they made a bad choice.
I don't know. Do you believe there's a lot of Trump supporters in 2023 that look back and believe they made a bad choice?
I know there's some.
Yeah, but there's some Biden supporters too that probably feel that way, isn't it?
Currently, they don't view Trump as running against Biden. They view Trump as being fascism, and whatever's running against him is better than fascism.
So it's more of a race of Trump supporters versus people who are voting for anything but Trump.
Right, but also I think the Republican Party has its own thing, because Chris Christie represents the old guard.
Yeah. I think the traditional, doesn't Mike Pence represent that too?
Well, he kind of did, but since he, it's real great that he's speaking up now, but he knew before.
Yeah.
And he knew before it happened, and he never said a word.
Yeah. Mike Pence has lost all credibility with the Republican Party.
Well, he could have stopped everything from happening. He chose not to.
What could Mike Pence have done to stop everything from happening with Trump?
Gone down and seen Schumer and McConnell at the same time and said he wants me to throw this election.
You trying to get the man killed? You think if Mike Pence had did that?
The 25th could have been enacted right then.
I don't know. I think that folks would have said.
McConnell was already looking to get rid of him.
You said what?
McConnell was already looking to get rid of him.
Looking to get rid of
The whole
Trump?
reason he didn't vote to impeach him was because he actually got caught saying, let the Democrats do it for us.
Yeah, something that's interesting you make that point about Mitch McConnell, because he did get up there and say Trump has not gotten away with anything. Everything he done, he still can be held accountable for as a regular citizen or whatever. And that's what has happened. That is literally what has happened since Trump has been out of office, is that the Justice Department appears to have taken Mitch McConnell's advice and they're holding him accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because Mitch holds the purse strings to the Republican Party.
Well, let me ask you this. If you're suggesting that this next election is going to be an election between Trump supporters and folks who are voting for anything but Trump, what does that say about Biden, that he's not even a factor in the race after serving an entire term?
Well, I'm with your last guest. He's done far better than I expected. And yes, the liberals are ageist. That's got a lot to do with it. But it's also got to do with the fact that I would like a president that is in the middle somewhere, so he can still remember being young, but still see a future.
Do you see Biden as wearing down, showing early signs of dementia, not knowing where the hell he's at?
Not dementia, because the man's smart when he doesn't stutter. I have that same stutter, so I understand how he feels. But basically, he snuck over there to the Ukraine. Nobody knew. He made a surprise trip somewhere else. Nobody knew. He worked out that deal with McCarthy. I'm tired watching him.
So in the comments,
He's got more done.
we get this on anytime somebody speaks favorably of Biden. Big 357, which sounds like the pistol. Big 357 is asking that question. What has Joe Biden done that's good?
Go look up your state, Mr. Whatever your name is, and look at how much the infrastructure plan is going to put in your state for roads and internet, and because it has to be spent on that, unlike when you give Republican states and they give it to the for-profit prison.
Yeah. You know something, here's what I think one of Biden's biggest issues is, and I think Obama went and talked to him about this the other day about, we're seeing you on the beach and you had these very short schedules, taking these vacations and shit like that, and you're not even high up in the polls, is that Biden needs to work the crowd more. The reason why folks believe so strongly in the causes of President Trump is because he's in their ear constantly. Even as president, the man did rallies nonstop. You can orate all of this good stuff that you believe Biden has done. Most of the folks who voted for Biden could not do the same. And it is because Biden is not out talking to the folks like, say, Trump has done. Biden should have been constantly out. I mean, Trump has never went away. So there's no secret that Trump has been competition to Biden his whole term. Not only has he not went away, he's been doing rallies criticizing Biden, saying all kinds of negative shit about Biden. Why isn't Biden out there talking to the folks?
Well, I mean, first of all, I can't really talk about Trump because then if he does, he might taint the trial.
He might do what?
There's that. Taint the trial. You don't want to mess up what he's. I'm telling you, if he attacks Trump head on right now, it's a political. It's a disaster for the court system.
Well, Trump is talking about the
politically motivated instead of, because we know that a grand jury was, most people don't understand that a grand jury gave these indictments. They just say, oh, the DOJ just piled them on there. Nobody's, they don't.
But wait a minute, Biden can do rallies. If you want to suggest talking about the trial, maybe, put the trial itself in jeopardy, he could do rallies and just keep talking about infrastructure and the CHIP Act, the economy, jobs. He's not even doing that.
Well, I mean, we're really early in the political,
you think so?
Trump declared declared so early, it's not funny.
I don't think, Andy, I don't think we're early.
It's advantageous for him to keep working since the Republican Party is broke. And I mean broke. DeSantis' biggest donor this morning said, I'm not giving you any money. The Koch brother that's left has raised $70 million against Trump.
Yeah. Well, here's where I disagree. When you say it's early, I would be more willing to entertain that if Trump was not so far out in front of his own competitors on his side of the aisle. If he didn't have the amount of support he has among his supporters. I think because of how strong Trump is coming out of the gate among his supporters, you need to get involved early. I mean, there's a debate happening this month. I mean, if you on the Republican side, they're debating this month. So I don't think
Joe Biden is the incumbent. He doesn't have to debate anybody.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't have to thin out the field yet.
Yeah, but they're going to be at the debate criticizing him constantly. I don't think his rest period should be over with.
Well, I mean, yes and no, because he's getting a lot done, and I don't want the man to run himself out before the election, because Trump's making gaffes that are big.
Yeah.
He was on the election this is 6 months ago, and when we had the 22 elections, he endorsed two guys named Eric, didn't give their last name. They were on opposing tickets, and nobody knew who to vote for. He stood on a stage and said, last week I was at the White House. He hadn't been there in a year, talking to Mark Zuckerberg, who ain't speaking to him at all.
Yeah. I mean, we just, fair enough. I do got to move it on, but I will say that I think Biden needs to get out there. Go ahead.
We don't vote till November of 2024, right?
Right.
It is not even November of 2023. Trump started the election cycle 6 months early because he thought if he went ahead and became the presumed nominee, he wouldn't face this. And that's why we're early.
I don't disagree with that, but I think Trump has proven that if you say something over and over again, people start believing it. You can't let him do that to you months on months and then decide, well, I'm going to come up. You'll be already so far behind. I just think that Biden needs to come out and start talking. I really do, but maybe I'm wrong. Andy, appreciate you coming on.
Do you, have you seen Trump since he's been walking out of that court lately? You seen his face? It looks like he's aged 10 years.
I believe that. I can see that. I mean, he has to be, he's constantly receiving phone calls from lawyers. I mean, I'm sure some of them are telling him, this don't look good. Some of those charges against him, we can say, like, trying to suggest he is responsible for the insurrection. That's a difficult one that may be harder for Jack Smith to prove. But trying to prove whether he had documents that he didn't supposed to have or not, that's pretty cut and dry. So some of those charges, I think, are going to be pretty easy to prove, while there may be a challenge for some of the other ones. I do got to move it on, though, Andy.
See ya.
Good talk. All right, looking in the comments. Biden is the most corrupt president in our history. Really? You think what happened to Hillary Clinton? She just got downgraded a notch. Biden? Really? I don't know about that. They are not charging him with insurrection. Exactly. Fair enough. No, but I had the 4 charges listed down, but I do believe inciting an insurrection is one of the issues they're coming after the guy with. Looking in the comments, Hillary was not a president. You know something? That's what I say all the time. When you say something so often, you tend to think, yeah, you're right. Hillary, just like Hunter Biden, is not a politician, but right now he feels like one. The Georgia case is the most significant, says Kevin. Let's see what Georgia presents. Let's see what, in my opinion, I think the documents case, depending on the nature of the documents, is pretty severe. Certainly, if you can show that he may have shown highly sensitive material to people who weren't supposed to see it, I think that's a severe case. But to me, the most severe is the one that he just got hit with from Jack Smith in regards to these 4 charges out of Washington, because they're basically saying that this guy tried to steal an election. Now, obviously, Trump suggests that it was the Democrats that tried to steal an election, which is why this whole live stream, now I'll go to the box shortly, but that is the whole purpose of the live stream, is to ask, have you at this point seen enough to believe that Trump is telling the truth when he suggests that he won 2020 by a landslide? And if so, what have you seen that would lead you to feel that way? That's what we're asking. Have you seen enough to believe Trump has won by a landslide? And if so, what did you see? I'm gonna have to bring this man up because I was on his show the other day. AJ, straight out the rent room. Good morning, AJ.
I made it.
Oh my God.
I didn't know I was still in the queue.
Good to have you on. Good to have you on.
Wild. You're a federal agent? I read that in the comments.
You said what?
You're a federal agent? I read that in the comments.
Who's I'm a federal agent?
Yeah, somebody said in the comments.
Somebody been watching too much Vlad TV. So let me ask you this though. Do you believe, first of all, do you believe Trump won by a landslide as he's suggesting?
I wouldn't say it was a landslide.
But you do believe he won?
I'm not gonna go on the record for that.
What are we in court? So
TikTok Live is like court sometimes.
Okay, you can say yes or no. All right, who won the 2020 election? Let me continue this path of questioning. Who won the 2020 election?
According to
you. Take your time. Take your time. I'll sip some coffee.
Let me try to read this word. Who won the election? Well, obviously, we have a president that's sitting there, right? So clearly he won the election.
That ain't what I'm asking you. Who do you believe won the 2020 election?
Who do I believe won?
Yes, sir.
Not the person who's sitting in 1600 Black Lives Matter way right now, but it is what it is.
I like that address, but give me a name. Give me a name of who you believe won the 2020 election.
Kanye. I'm messing with you.
Damn right you are. All right. So, President Kanye, that's who you believe won.
No, man, nah, I'm messing with you. I do think, in theory, I can't prove it because I don't care enough, but I do believe Trump won, but not by a landslide.
This is off the subject. We're going to certainly get back on this subject, but on the YouTube, bro, somebody's asking me to ask you, do you believe slavery was beneficial to the enslaved?
We go back to, I literally had to spaz out on a dude in my live last night because he came in hot on that same thing, and I asked him to read the exact text because I did it before, and I was like, read the text. And of course, he spazzed out on me and started calling me a coon and all of this stuff. And I'm like, bro,
we won't do that here. We'll never do that here. So, but do you believe there were some benefits to being enslaved?
Well, I think the what was said was taken out of context, and that was actually not from Ron DeSantis. It was from a black man who works in his cabinet. But whatever. And so if you read it, like I said, when I was able to have a civil conversation on it, I can see how politically you can take what was said there and skew it. I see it, and I understand Democrats are great at this. They're great at emotionalism and marketing and getting people all frustrated. And so I get how you could take what was said and say, yeah, this is what they meant, when all and it's not a lie, So if you came out of that horrible atrocity with a skill, you can now make a profit. No one's saying that slavery was great. No one's saying that being a slave was fabulous and you had 3 meals a day. Nobody's saying any of that shit. That's the shit they add on to it.
So, but wait a minute, AJ. Here's the issue I have. Let's say, for instance, they made me put hooves on horses all day. So I got a skill. When I leave, when I'm emancipated, am I able to just go put that shit on my resume and get a job somewhere else? Am I even able to use that skill?
If you choose to, sure. You are now free to, you can if you want to, but doesn't mean, again, we're taking it out of context and we're making it an emotional argument. And that's where I get frustrated with this whole thing. I get what's being said. I'm not stupid, but I'm reading to comprehend.
What is the purpose? What is the purpose of even teaching this to children? Because keep in mind, slavery in this country went on for hundreds of years. Most slaves, well over 99% of the slaves in this country were born a slave and they died a slave. Only during the emancipation period were those who were old enough to get a job, and once they were free were able to go out and maybe use their skills. But most people were born a slave and they died once, so they never even saw freedom. What is the purpose of teaching folks that a tiny portion of slaves, once they were free, had a skill to use? What is the purpose of even bringing that up?
Okay, well, this is where we can sort of align, because I don't think there is a purpose. I think it's dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
So I think there's no reason to teach this, but, reading it in context is one thing, and then understanding what they're trying to say. But again, this is when you don't have the black person at the table who actually can say, stop, this is stupid. And we need to rethink this, or actually just omit it altogether because it don't need to be said, right? And so that's the conversation that needs to be had. But when it's just emotionalism, I'm out the conversation. If you have a person at the table who can say, yeah, that shouldn't be included, that makes no sense. Then when you actually have black conservatives who are in Congress and Senate right now who are Republicans saying, we can't follow you down this yellow.
Tim Scott is one of those,
and Byron Donalds.
Yeah, and I will say this: for folks like yourself who defending Ron DeSantis under the guise that he didn't do it, some people in his state did it. He's not teaching CRT, but he fought against that. He's not teaching LGBT issues to students, but he's fought against that. But he's letting this one go under the guise, well, I didn't do it. We've seen how you behave when folks are doing something that you do not support. So the whole "it ain't me" argument, you're not Shaggy. You're not going to put out a hit song with that. We know that. I mean, seriously. We know how you behave when you don't like something.
let me be clear. I am no Ron DeSantis supporter. He's too far. He has gone too far right for my taste. But and so let me put that on the table right there. Yeah, I'm not. He's not one of. But so I'm just want to make that clear because people think when you understand what someone's saying that you all in on them. Like, no.
Fair enough. All right. So going back to the Trump administration real quick. You believe Trump won, but just not by a lot. What are you basing that on?
All the problems, all the censorship, including me almost losing my account when I'm sharing what people are sharing in real time. The fact that, and we don't ever want to have this conversation because they'll be like, oh my God, you're crying. No, it happened. So if it happened and you won't hear me out, fuck you. That's literally it. And so when it happens on the other side, fuck you. I don't care. And it could be blatantly right in my face. But when people are saying there's a problem because the wrong demographic is saying there's a problem, we dismiss it.
But
and that's un-American, and that on its head is un-American. Because if this had happened in Atlanta or any major black mecca, it'd be wall-to-wall coverage, and people and heads would motherfucking roll, and as they should.
But here's what I do not get. Folks are making it appear as if the Democrats censored a hell of a lot of things the Republicans wanted to bring to the forefront. But in reality, a lot of the folks suggesting that what Trump was saying was not true are Republicans themselves, whether it's Governor Kemp or some of these other folks. It's mostly Republicans that are being called to testify against Trump. Jack Smith is not using a host of liberals to make Trump look bad. It's Republicans that are coming forward. Mike Pence, Chris Christie, all of these are not Democrats. These are Republicans.
So you were in my live yesterday, right? And what did I say? I said this is not.
Hold on 1 second. I got to step out. Somebody is trying to get my attention. I'll be back in a second. Hang on.
Oh, okay. Okay. Should I stretch? Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing today? We good? Yeah, cool. Yeah. What did he have to get his food? That's what he said? How's everybody doing this fine Saturday morning? It's gonna be a hot one here in Texas. Yeah.
All right. Real quick. Okay.
Cool.
So it's Republicans suggesting that they did all of the investigations in their states for President Trump and that Trump is continuing to push it. But Trump keeps saying it's the liberals. Explain that?
Well, I can't explain why he keeps saying that, but I see what it is. It's not Trump versus liberals. It's Trump versus the establishment. And so the establishment is not Democrat. It's not Republican. It's both of them motherfuckers. And so it's going to be this enormous mountain. I don't know if he can get up the motherfucker, but it's not him against one political party. It's him against his own party and him against the other party as well.
So we just believe he's right and everybody else is wrong?
I didn't say he was completely right. I just said that I don't think he won by a landslide. And I just said he's wrong for saying it's just liberals. So I clearly just said I'm not all in. So.
But that's the point. If you're willing to admit that he's wrong on some things, I guess we have to figure out how much wrong. Dominion voting machines. Do you think Trump and his administration are correct in what they've said about Dominion voting machines?
Was it perfect? No. But I don't think that, for me, it wasn't the voting machines. It was the mail-in ballots. Okay. Let's just keep it a buck.
No dead people voting. You don't think it was?
I moved because I am just anecdotally. I moved from California to Texas. I still got my California ballot. Didn't put it in, obviously, and I got my mail-in ballot in Texas and was still able to vote in person. I voted in person. That's the only option I took. So you're not going to tell me that in all of that everybody did the right thing. And
no, but that's what I'm asking, AJ, is that we can potentially show fraud took place in the 2020 election. What we cannot show is that all of the fraud was done in favor of the Democratic Party. That's what 2000 Mules tried to do, is show all this fraud and then make the assumption that it was all done in favor of Democrats. That's where the problem is. You don't know who the fraudsters are trying to help out.
Okay. I mean, I recall the part where I said I really don't care because I also think I never saw 2,000 views, so I don't know.
Okay. It's worth seeing. I've seen it about
I'm not one of
6
these
times.
people like, oh my God, let's expose it. I'm very clear that both sides do this very well. They omit a lot of stuff, and they give you what just what the base wants, just the meat that they want, and they leave all the other stuff all out of it. And then you have to go look at the other side to see what they omit, and then put it all together. And I'm not doing all that. That's too much damn work.
Right.
I don't get paid for that.
Fair enough. All right, AJ, good to have you in here. I got to
Appreciate
move
you,
on.
bro.
Hey, anytime. Good talk. All right, now,
Later.
looking in the box, get rid of it all. Vote in person with an ID. Voting in person is not going to stop folks suggesting that you're cheating. If a person has something to gain by alleging fraud, they'll do it even if you think, keep in mind, the internet just came around, what, in the early 90s? You think people weren't accused of cheating before the internet came around? Now, mail-in ballots, you folks who suggest that there's fraud through the mail, which is a huge insult to the post office, first of all. But in addition to mail-in fraud, military folks who are deployed, how the hell are they going to go into ballot boxes and vote, or into ballot offices and vote? You would be stopping the military from voting entirely. What about elderly people who are disabled? Do they lose their right to vote because you want everybody to come into the office? I mean, if a person is going to cheat, making them come to the actual office is not going to stop that. As you guys tried to point out, when I say you guys, I mean the Trump administration, tried to suggest that the mother and daughter duo in Atlanta was cheating. That was at a physical office, at a physical polling place. You're not going to stop allegations of fraud by making people come in and vote. It'll just change what you're complaining about. Looking in the box, we'll keep it moving. Electric Wolf, friend of the program. Always good to have Electric Wolf on. Certainly, you are the man to ask. If it lets him in, it doesn't look like it's letting him in. Ruby Freeman, yeah, Ruby Freeman. It was a mother and daughter. I forgot what the other woman's name was, but yeah, it was a mother and daughter. Ruby Freeman is one of them. It's not letting there we go. Electric Wolf 45, trying to get you on. There we go. So, have you seen enough evidence to back up Trump's claim?
Yeah.
You got echo. You got echo.
4, 5. Trying to get you on. There we go. So,
Okay, I'm going to have to drop
have
him.
you seen enough evidence?
All right. Electric Wolf, you're welcome to come back to the program, but there was a severe echo with you on there. So we'll keep it moving. We'll go to, I think it says Z-Pack. I don't know what happened there with my last caller, but don't forget we were voting by mail due to COVID. Well, I think the issue is Trump posed a hell of a lot of issues with mail-in voting and was basically saying that Democrats were cheating in the beginning. So it just resonated throughout the campaign. Z-Pack, good afternoon. You're on mute, or good morning, you're on mute. Somebody says Trump for prison. Good morning. I'm doing good.
Yeah, so, I listened to that last guest, and I think to myself, this is a misguided population. These folks are new to politics. They haven't followed them long enough to understand how they work. The election, there was no widespread voter fraud. There were 65 cases that Donald Trump brought in, and they threw them out not because of standing, but because they didn't provide evidence in court. Right? Everybody says, oh, they were thrown out because of standing. Nope, it's not true. They were thrown out because there was no evidence. And we find out that Rudy Giuliani admits to lying about that evidence. He went into court and he literally said, this is not a fraud case, when he was on television saying that there was fraud. So
I will agree with you that if there is one incredibly dishonest individual that lacks credibility that was part of the Trump administration, it is Rudolph Giuliani. I mean, his credibility is shot completely at this point.
No, exactly. And what really makes me angry about people that have big platforms like AJ's Rant Room and a few other people is that they're spreading misinformation. They say that their accounts are banned because, they're being censored. No, they're banned because you're lying. You're literally lying.
Yeah, but is that? But hold on, but Z-Pack, is that right? I mean, I believe a $15 minimum wage would really be beneficial to this country. Republicans think that's a lie. I might be in favor of some type of gun, restrictions on some citizens. Republicans think that is a lie. Should accounts be banned because someone disagrees with them?
No, accounts, applications can choose to ban accounts if it goes against the guidelines, right? If their guidelines say that we cannot we cannot have misinformation on our platform, then you're going to get banned. It's just how it works.
Yeah, but is that towing the liberal party line? In other words, you can't have misinformation that goes against liberal. To me, I'm not a fan of it. Even though I lean left, I'm not a fan of it because I know that most of that stuff is indeed in favor of folks on the left. I let the right speak. If some of it's misinformation, the public will be smart enough to eventually get on to that. Because you don't silence these people by taking them off your platform. They just go somewhere else and continue speaking. And real quick, tap the screen, get your boy up to 50,000. Are you a fan of banning if you believe it's misinformation?
I think that there is dangerous misinformation. If you look at what Donald Trump did on January 6th, he spread misinformation and put police officers in harm's way by bringing his people there. Stand back and stand by. I mean, come on. We know that is exactly what he wanted to do. He tweets out last night, if you come after me, I'm coming after you. And then Jack Smith says, all right, bet. And he puts it in the indictment, and he now has that in the indictment as a threat. And now Donald Trump at 1 a.m. in the morning was scared, so scared that he had to release a statement that said that he did not actually mean the prosecution. He meant the rhinos and all those.
I don't believe that. I do not believe.
Into a corner and he's scared. He's absolutely scared.
I do not believe Trump at 1 a.m. got up and put that clarification in there due to fear. What I believe is his lawyers woke him up at 1 a.m. and said, dude, you cannot fucking do this. I don't care how angry you are. I believe some lawyers were like, well, let us type something. I don't believe Trump would have tried to clear it up. Trump is kind of like a fuck 'em guy. I believe his attorneys did that.
Well, Trump is brain dead, as we all know. I mean, when they asked him what his age was in court, he said 7'7", which, I mean, I guess that's, and I said that last night to you, 7'7".
Yeah, that's funny.
So we know that he is, exactly not the brightest bulb in the tree, right? And so, like, anytime any of his lawyers tell him to do anything, he's not going to do it. He's going to do the opposite because he thinks that the election was stolen still in 2023. I find this just very interesting. I listen to these folks on this app, and I listen to them spread dangerous misinformation. They put people in danger. And it's absolutely frustrating because these are people that did not follow politics before Donald Trump. So therefore they do not know how elections work. We organized in the 2020 election. We had early voting in my state and other states around the country. We got people to the polls. Donald Trump said, vote on election day. That's his fault. He could have absolutely had people vote early. And so the fraud that was found in the election, we had people that were Republican voters who voted for their dead relatives for Donald Trump.
What state were you in again?
I mean, that's on record.
What state were you in?
I would refuse to say because there's violent people on this app.
You think they can find you throughout the entire state?
Oh, yeah. No, they can't.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
But anyway.
What region? What region?
The East Coast.
Go ahead.
And they will come after you.
I love MAGA. I've had, some I'll tell you, but probably because I'm in the middle, but most of the folks that I get calling me Uncle Toms and sellouts and shit like that, I believe, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe they're liberal. I think I get criticized more on this app by liberals than I do by folks on the right. I don't know for certain because I don't get the chance to, ask everybody their political leanings, but somebody calling me an Uncle Tom is most likely going to be a liberal. They're going to be leaning left. I don't think they're going to be leaning right. And I get that on almost every damn broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, look, I will say this. I mean, I don't agree that every single person that supports Donald Trump is a bad person. I just think that there are some people, and we can agree that there are people that are violent on the left as well, but I just think that when it comes to this whole misinformation campaign that we have in the from this election, it's exhausting. This is three years later.
Yeah.
And it's like, if this is what you're running on, if this is what you're going to do, if this is your campaign message in 2024, it's not going to win. Because you've already lost 3 straight elections, right? You've already lost in 2018 and 2020 and 2022.
You're sounding like Chris Christie. You're starting to sound like Chris Christie. Yeah.
I mean, Chris Christie's right, and Chris Christie would be a normal person in the Republican establishment, but unfortunately, Donald Trump is the guy, and that's the man they want to have, be in the race. So,
yeah, I
don't know. I just think that at the end of the day, like, this is we need to be better than this. We really do, because we can disagree, and Biden's not the best person in the world when it comes to a president, but if we have to wheel him in a wheelchair to the finish line in 2024 just to make sure that we don't have Donald Trump again, then that's going to happen, and we're going to do it again.
So you are among the anybody but Trump crowd. What is that, ABT? They used to say anybody but Clinton. ABT, anybody but Trump. You don't really care as long as it's not Trump, correct?
Right. I mean, as long as it's not him. I mean, I would vote. I mean, if Chris Christie was the nominee of the party or somebody else, like, I would be like, you know what? All right, that's fine. If I have to deal with Chris Christie for 4 years, then
so be
that's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
I
get the message. What you're basically saying is that any of the other Republican candidates, probably other than Ron DeSantis too, but out of the other Republican candidates, Tim Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, or Tim Scott, the world is not going to end if they get elected. I might not like some of their policies, but as you said, I can stomach it for 4 years. But Trump, you believe if Trump gets elected, there are some permanent threats to, say, democracy or things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there's no joke that there would be threats to democracy, but it seems like that's what the supporters want. They want they want to have somebody who is a dictator. That's what they want.
Wow.
And now, I mean, he could be running from jail. I don't know.
Some suggested. All right, Z-Pack, I gotta move it on. Good to talk to you again. All right. And by the way, folks, I'm going to ask what I always ask in between conversations. Tap the screen. Got 700 plus of you in here. Show your boy some love. Let those thumbs not be lazy. Might get 100,000 if we keep it going, but certainly get your boy up to 60,000. I think you guys can accomplish that rather quickly. Yeah, Lucia, appreciate the hat and mustache. Thank you kindly for that. I will say, if you do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, without any fear of being blocked, banned, or censored by the host, you are in the right place. Follow the program, follow the channel. This is what we do here, generally Monday through Friday. Just got out here and want to talk to the folks, had a little bit of free time on my hands, but the program is MAGA friendly. Understand that even though I lean left, I do believe conservatives, Republicans, and particularly MAGA often get wrongfully blocked, banned, or censored the moment they open their mouth. So that's the whole purpose, is to let folks know, particularly MAGA, that this is a friendly forum to speak. It's not about whether somebody agrees or disagrees with you. You can speak here without being blocked, banned, or told you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Last thing we will ever do here is talk down to a guest simply for having a difference of opinion. Looking in the comments, question for the host. Is there anything you did like that Trump did while president? Yeah, I like the fact that he was talking about overturning the trade imbalance with China. We've lost a lot of jobs to the Chinese, and he was talking about imposing tariffs on them to match the tariffs they have on us. He talked about doing it to John Deere down in Mexico, and I stood up and was like, yeah, that sounded great when he was talking about doing it. I don't think everything Trump did was bad. The little time he spent talking to Kim Kardashian about criminal justice reform, although I don't see where he really accomplished much, the fact that he was willing to even talk about it coming from a person on the right was refreshing. So, no, I don't think that everything the man did was bad, but if you ask my humble opinion, even though I lean left, I think on paper he was worthy of a second term. I don't favor the mouth, the insults, deliberately dividing the nation, as General Milley once stated, or Miley once stated. And I think that was his biggest detriment. And I certainly am not a fan of breaking off every alliance America's ever gotten into. When I say alliance, I mean NAFTA, Paris Accord, the Iran deal, NATO, World Health Organization. I mean, he literally wanted to turn America into an island. That part of Trump I'm not a fan of, but I do believe if he was a more presidential commander-in-chief, he would have been worthy of a second term. That's my spiel. Looking in the comment section before we go back to the box, Trump's racism was divisive to the country. A lot of folks suggest that. I have an opinion on that, but we'll go back to the box. We'll bring up, once again, we'll try it again with Electric Wolf. I don't know if his signal's going to work this time. If not, we'll continue the program and we'll move it on. Trump kickstarted inflation. That I disagree with wholeheartedly. If you look at America in 2000, if you look at America in January of 2009, that's when President Obama was inaugurated. Look at our economy. And then you look at our economy in January of 2017 when Trump got inaugurated. There's no denying the economy did much better under Obama than Bush. Obama brought the economy back. When Trump took the reins, the economy was doing fine. So the idea that Trump kickstarted inflation, kickstarted the economy, I don't know if I buy that. Electric Wolf, good morning.
Okay, now I'm here.
Loud and clear. I can hear you this time well. So I'm asking, have you seen enough to support Trump's claims that he won by a landslide?
I haven't seen enough because they haven't proven anything because they haven't been able to get into court on it. But I think a lot of it with the whole January 6th and insurrection and, oh my God, he was going to destroy the country and a conspiracy and all that. I think that's going to be really bad for
Jack Smith,
for your side. Yeah, I think it's going to really show a lot of hypocrisy, I hope it shows. I think personally it's going to show.
How so? In what way? What makes you believe that?
They're going to be able to, because they'll be able to subpoena people. They'll be able to bring records in. They'll be able to show stuff. Because, when they went to court and they kicked them out and they said, no, you don't have any bearing or any proof, this and that, it's just because the courts didn't want to get involved. The courts didn't want to get involved in the whole situation with the election and stuff because they have no balls.
Well, how does it? But I want to say this because you pointed out, for our side, why do you think there are so many Republicans particularly in Republican states, Republican election officials, Republican judges, some of them that Trump appointed, that are also saying that what he is saying is not true. Remember, he had like 60 court cases before leaving office trying to suggest the election was stolen, and he lost in all of those cases. Most of them are Republican judges. So when you say our side, there's a lot of Republicans that disagree with him.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to show bad for the Democrats because they went. I mean, I just think it shows bad already because they already went after him for no reason. But I think it's going to show bad for the Democrats due to the fact that you all brought it on them. I mean, some Republicans are going to go down, and I personally think they're going to have egg on their face when they're like, oh shit, it does show some stuff. Not a whole bunch, maybe not. We don't know. We'll see.
But what about the counterpoint, though?
I think there was fraud, yes.
But what
I think there was fraud.
What about the counterpoint? Let's say, for instance, Trump does what you're saying. He successfully shows that there were some elements of fraud. But as a counterpoint, it is also able to show that he lied about a lot of fraud that did not take place, such as the two women, the Ruby Freeman down in Georgia that are now suing to show that they were mislabeled wrongfully. Hell, even Ray Epps is suing. Then you got Dominion voting machines. So a lot of the stuff that Trump alleged has been proven the other way. Does he maintain credibility?
I don't think it's been proven. I don't think it's been proven the other way. It's just been said, no, well, there's nothing there. Like, again, I mean, you can go down a conspiracy lane and say, well, Dominion was able to purge their records, right? They were able to purge whatever.
But they're saying Dominion switched the election in Biden's favor. Are you saying there's proof that actually happened?
No, I don't know. We'll see. That's what I'm saying. We will see. I mean, do I think there will be? Sure. I'm always willing to accept some sort of great conspiracy theory.
So you believe?
Apparently, conspiracy theories are winning in the last couple of years.
I don't know. Alex Jones would disagree with you. Let me.
I don't know about Alex Jones.
I'm just saying, he's another one that's lost.
I don't believe in reptile. I don't believe in reptile people. I don't believe in turning lizards gay or whatever he thinks of. Whatever.
I don't believe in children that lost their lives in a mass casualty have still been alive.
Yeah, no, I don't go for that.
Yeah. Alex Jones is a loser in terms of conspiracy theories. You don't agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But he's not the creator of conspiracy theories.
No, he's absolutely, I agree with that. But in regards to, we were talking about Dominion voting machines, and you're saying that something may come out.
Yeah, I don't trust the Dominion vote. I don't trust the Dominion stuff. Anything electronic, I don't trust, especially when it's, I just don't trust Democrats. I mean, they're great at deception. They're good at lying. They're good at cheating. They're good at manipulating the public and saying, we didn't say that. We just meant this. They're fantastic at that.
So in regards to
saying we're the racist KKK people.
So in regards to Democrats being untrustworthy, lying, and deceptive, have you ever heard of a congressman named George Santos?
Oh yeah, he needs to go, but he'll be gone with the election.
Any idea why the Republicans?
With his election.
Any idea why the Republicans are not viewing him in the same category?
No.
Hold on, you gotta let me speak. Any idea why the Republicans are not going?
No, I agree.
Yeah,
No, I agree. We have our own. We do have our own. We have Tim DeLay and all those guys too. I mean, I agree. It's just as a whole, the Democratic Party, man, those guys are a lying, thieving, wretched machine. Not Democrats, not all Democrats, but the Democratic Party, oh yeah.
Okay. Based on what? Based on what?
Based on them saying they weren't for Jim Crow, based on them saying they weren't racist, based on saying that they didn't create the KKK, based on saying that there was a big party switch and now we're the racists and they're not. I mean, it doesn't work that way. They never changed their name. Why wouldn't they change their name? Again, I go back to that.
So you're saying
there was a big switch.
So you're saying there never was a party switch?
No, I don't think so.
Any idea, with the Democrats being known as the party of slavery, being known as the party of the Confederate South, any idea why the Republicans are now defending Confederate statues and the Democrats are like, this stuff is wrong? Why did the Republicans?
Well, I I personally think the reason they're trying to get rid of all these Confederate statues and everything else is because they're trying to take away history and realize that the Democrats were the ones that were the Confederacy. The Democrats were the ones that started the war. The Democrats were the ones that started wanted slavery, wanted to keep slavery. See, as long as you keep taking away history, they're more than happy to do it because they were always in the wrong. I mean, right now they're fighting for everything they can.
Hold on, you believe
they're fighting against everything.
You believe removing a statue eliminates history?
Yeah, some of it. Some of it.
How?
I mean, not. I mean, I'm in Texas. I'm in El Paso, Texas. I mean, I have nothing. I have no love for the Confederate flag. I understand there's some people that do. I know there's people of color that dig the Confederate flag. That's on them. They can defend it. They cannot defend it. It's up to them. All I know is my history.
What party is the dominant party in defending the Confederate flag?
I would say right now, the conservative, the Republican Party.
Why would they defend a flag that represented slave owners? Why is the Republican Party so gung-ho about this?
See, that's the thing. You're going to have to get somebody that actually defends the Confederate flag or that cares for the Confederate flag. Not taking down statues, because if they put a placard on there as far as history goes, then I'm in. Leave them up and show what they were and show who supported them and show who supported the war, the Civil War.
So let me ask you this:
who supported slavery?
Yeah, let me ask you this in regards to the notion that taking down statues eliminates history. When we invaded Iraq, there were Saddam Hussein pictures, statues everywhere. The Americans took down most of that shit. The Americans, along with
bullshit. No, bullshit. The people took it down. The people took that statue.
Okay, let's go with that. Let's wait a minute. You gotta let me respond, man. Let me go with that. The people took it down. So by the people taking down Saddam Hussein, does that erase the history that he ever existed in that country?
No, but see, that statue was there for effigy, to give praise to him. That's why they tore it down. Here, the statues are just to recollect to remember history.
How do you know? How do you know that?
That's my opinion.
Okay, all right. Because
if you want to move it to a museum, I'm in. There's nothing wrong with having a Confederate, Democrat, racist museum that people can know, just like the Holocaust Museum, so you know who started it, why they did it, things like that. I'm in on that.
Here's where
I'm saying, well, what happened with the Civil War? What side was on what side, and why were they fighting? I'm in on all that history.
Here's where I believe you are flat out wrong. A lot of those Confederate statues were erected during the Jim Crow era, over 100 years after the Civil War. You know why they were erected?
By Democrats.
No, okay,
by Democrats.
It doesn't matter. It wasn't to preserve history. They were erected to show minorities, particularly those civil rights types, like the Martin Luther King types. They would put one in the middle of town square, so that when Martin Luther King came in that town to fight on behalf of workers' rights or fight on behalf of restaurant folks or whatever, the statue was erected to let folks know, try that in a small town. Don't bring that bullshit here. We're not down with it. Them statues,
that was pretty good.
A hell of a lot of those statues were erected in the 1920s and 30s to deliver a message. So when folks say, well, they were erected out of honoring you don't put up a statue as a tribute to a war hero 100, 200 years later. Nobody's erecting World War II statues now. So when you put up a statue in the 1920s, over 100 years after the Civil War, and on the plaque, all of the shit it talks about is positive. They don't mention we were fighting on behalf of slavery or we were trying to break up the United States. There's a bunch of positive shit that is not even truthful in some cases. You think that should be left up?
No, I think the plaque should be changed. That's not a problem. But the thing is, why did the Democrats want to take down a Democratic statue?
Because it represents hate.
But they put it up.
Okay, and why is the Republicans trying to keep it up?
No, I'm not saying. What I'm saying is they could change the placard in the history of it and represent. He put the. I mean, if you wanted to change the placard, like I said, move it to a museum, but don't get rid of it and try to get rid of history because they're trying to get rid of the history they created. They were responsible for.
Okay,
That's
so
the party that took care of it, not us.
so why
We're
is
not the ones that were for slavery. We're not the ones that fought against all that stuff.
so the folks in Charlottesville, you know, the Jews will not replace us folks. You think they were fighting to preserve history with the statue they were fighting over? That's what they were doing with the shields and the swastikas. They were there to fight to preserve history.
But see, again, you go back to there were people that were for statues, against statues, and there were hateful people there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting to preserve hateful history. You have to know your history before you repeat, so you don't repeat it.
Okay.
You have to. It's like I tell you. The thing is Democrats want to get rid of their history. This is not my party's history. This is your party's history.
Okay. It is American history.
That
I don't
makes
care
sense?
what party it's for. It's American history.
Oh no, absolutely. It is American history.
Okay.
But there's parties in American history, and that's your party that did it.
So
That's
you believe the Democratic Party of today has the same ideals as the slavery party of the 1700s? You believe they have the same ideals?
Absolutely. Look at what they do. Look at what you just said right now earlier. Where do you receive the most hate from for letting people speak? From my side or your side?
Well, in my particular forum, it's the hat that leads Democrats to act hateful. I mean, if I took down the hat, I believe a lot of it would go away.
No. You know what it is? Is because you're a free thinker. You're one of those crazy free thinkers, and then you happen to be black, and you happen to want to have a conversation. They can't have that because you don't understand, handsome. The Democrats think you're dumb. You poor people, you'll never amount to anything because white people have kept you down, and you'll never amount to shit.
So
That's the way they think.
So you see
That's what they think.
So you see the Democratic Party as the party of hate and the Republican Party as the party of love.
I don't think it's a party of love. I just think they're a party. That's it.
What about the LGBT community? You think
But it's more
what
inclusive.
about the LGBT
It's more
community?
accepting.
What about the LGBT community? How do you see the Republicans?
What about them?
You think the Republicans are, you know, for the most part, they don't have any issue with the LGBT community?
I don't think they have an issue with it because they don't care if you're gay or not. The problem is when you start trying to injure children, when you're trying to get me to lie, and you want to change your birth certificate to something that you're not. You can't do that.
So
You
you
live your life as a woman or a man, and you're a man or a woman. You can do that.
so you
Fine,
believe
that's fine. It's no big deal.
you believe putting your face on a Bud Light can is injuring to children drinkers of Bud Light? You think it's injurious to child beer drinkers or something? Why did they have a problem with that?
I think that's a totally different picture. That's insulting to women because you're trying to target women, and you put a man who's pretending to be a woman to represent women. Why not put a woman? There's a unique idea.
So where can the LGBT
That's a
community?
totally different thing.
So where can the transgender community function in society without being an insult to someone? They can't use the bathroom. They can't be on beer cans, so they're insulting women. We certainly don't want them playing on the wrong team. Where can they show up that folks are not insulted by them?
Anywhere. Just don't represent yourself as a representative for a sex that you're not.
So they can't. So in other
As a
words,
trans woman or a trans man, we don't care.
so in other words, they cannot. A man identifying as a woman, he can't show up anywhere because he's identifying as something that he's not.
No, he can identify as whatever he wants. That's fine. It doesn't matter. It's not important.
But he can't be on a beer
Just show
can.
up and keep the food.
But he can't be on a beer
I
can.
don't care, but don't insult women. But don't insult women like that. That's where you get in trouble because you insult women.
So where can he show up that he's not insulting women?
when during Pride Month, if they want, they can have a rainbow flag wherever they want, and they can advertise to the LGBTQ community, whatever you want to do. But when you start celebrating women with a man, that's a problem.
Okay.
That's
All
not
right.
true. That's a lie.
All right. Fair enough. I don't think
We
most.
don't hate them. We don't hate them.
Yeah, I don't think most women see transgender women as insulting, but maybe I'm wrong. I got to move it on, though, Wolf. Always.
Oh, come on. Come on.
I gave you plenty of time. You know I gave you plenty of time, man, but I do got to move it on.
You got plenty of time. Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
All right, always a pleasure talking to folks with dissenting opinions, and obviously me and Electric Wolf probably don't agree even on the color of the sky, but he's always welcome back to the program, always a spirited debate. I saw the comments going crazy. Some of you guys in the comments say some hilarious shit, but we'll keep it going. Trump loves this guy. Wow. Says Hollow D. Just looking in the comment section real quick. You guys got your boy up to 70,000 likes, maybe 80,000. 700 plus of you are still with your boy. You could be anywhere you want to be on this app. It's always an honor to have you here with yours truly. Tap the screen, get your boy likes up. Let's see if 80,000 happens. I don't know if I'll get to 100,000, but I do appreciate the participation on the taps there. Trump loves the uneducated. He did say that. Trish in New York City. What about Ron trying to get rid of history? Yeah, certainly teaching individuals that slavery was beneficial is an extreme case of let's look on the bright side to slavery. As I pointed out before, the overwhelming died one. They never got a chance to be free to entertain being, having any kind of benefit from the endeavor. So the only individuals during the whole 200, 300 plus years of slavery that would have had some benefits that they could have used elsewhere would have probably been working age men that were free at the time of emancipation. So you're talking about, maybe a group of men from age of about 14 to 15 to maybe 30. That little small sect during the moment of emancipation may have had a few skills they could have used elsewhere. All the rest of those folks died as a slave, or were too old at the time of emancipation, or were too young. It's a tiny, tiny segment of the enslaved that would have had any skills that they would have been able to possibly use after being free. Why even bring this tiny population up to teach this to children, other than trying to exercise an extreme case of let's look on the bright side and find anything good that we can kind of point to during this time? No reason at all to do that. I mean, it's just a slap in the face to anyone speaking out about this subject. Looking in the comments, I see folks are still saying things about Truth Seeker. Wow, Truth Seeker, some things a Christian nationalist would say. Wow. Man, you guys are still hammering that guy. All the emails talking about Biden working with the CCP, all proven. I don't think it's been proven. It's deflection. Let me see here. Such an ignorant argument to say they benefited from slavery. It really is ignorance at its best. And for folks who bring up, well, with some African Americans that said it, you can find somebody through every period in history, whether it's Native Americans who fought on behalf of the white man, Japanese who fought on behalf of Americans in World War II, blacks who fought on behalf of the Confederates in the Civil War, Iraqis that fought on behalf of Americans in that war, Americans that went to Afghanistan and fought on behalf of ISIS. You can always find someone willing to operate in what you would think is against their best interest. That doesn't mean a damn thing that Ron DeSantis found some African American scholars that pointed out that slavery was beneficial. You can always find somebody that will do what you think is against their best interest. Every single war in basically world history has featured someone fighting for something that was probably not going to be beneficial to them in the end. We had Americans fighting on behalf of Hitler in World War II as well. Just want to point that out. Looking in the comments, DeSantis is pandering to his racist base. I believe that. I definitely believe that. Going back to the box. If my thing works here, we'll keep it moving with Pinche Vato Loco. Good morning. I get my time frames all messed up. Pinche Vato Loco. Good morning.
Is your favorite friend Timoteo, my friend? How you doing?
Oh shit! This should be very interesting. Now you are the second Declaration of Independence guy, correct?
What? I couldn't understand you. You were breaking up.
I said you are the second Declaration of Independence guy, right?
The second
Declaration of it. You are the second. You're the one that believes Trump created a second declaration.
Oh, no, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So that's one of the things I had to say. But before I get on to that, let me just say, because I got to give you a little bit of credit here, Tim. Because it stands up that you provide your platform equally for everybody. And for people that are afraid to get on the horn and talk whenever they want or whatever, this is a good platform for that because of the fact that you are so consistent with that.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that, especially after the things I've had to go through on this app.
Oh, yeah.
I'm one of those guys that I won't say I don't see color or anything like that, but you hear so many people involving themselves in conversations that are racist. Any conversation that mentions race is a racist conversation, but I don't see anybody else on TikTok that does it as well as you. And it doesn't matter what platform, what type of people we're talking about or whatever. So I just wanted to give you that credit before I got started, because I know you and I have never, ever come close on a political platform.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah. Like that Z-Pack guy, the Z-Pack guy earlier, man, I just wanted to tell him, hey, thanks a lot for taking the time off of hugging your tree and taking your skips down the street in West Hollywood to have a conversation with us. But, you're full of shit.
Oh my God.
The sad thing is that too many people don't realize, they don't realize true history.
How so? What do you mean? Explain that.
Basically what you would call a historian. I'm a historian of sorts, and the history of the United States has 4 presidents who have been assassinated over the history.
Okay.
And each of those presidents, if you look at who benefited from the assassination in the end, it was the Democratic Party. Now, that being said, you got to look at what happened with Lincoln. When Lincoln, before Lincoln died.
Okay, wait a minute. We don't want to go too deep in the history lesson, man. I get what you're saying, but we don't want to go all the way back to Lincoln. I want to first ask you, because other folks listening in may not be familiar with you. You suggested President Trump wrote a second Declaration of Independence that most Americans do not know about. Can you explain that?
Yeah, that's the whole documentation case that you see going on right now. That's what's happening with that one.
Okay, what's in that
document?
What is
from everybody?
What is in that Declaration of Independence you're talking about that Trump left behind?
He declared our independence, which means he installed our independence immediately.
Independence from who? Independence from who?
From the cabal, the United States Incorporated, the United States of America Corporation. If you look at the United States Code, okay, UCC, that's our code that they use for everything in the United States, US, blah, 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 USC, blah, 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 United States Code. The first couple paragraphs of that code says straight up, the United States is a corporation. And so what they're doing, what he did in that document was he divided us from the corporation as a republic of the United States, which is what we have always been.
How does that
Doing that.
How does that change? How does that change the life of? Wait a minute. How does that change the life of the average American? You're saying he declared independence from the cabal, or as an average for the average American, what change to your life do you notice from that?
Well, what you're gonna notice, it's gonna happen more in 24 than it will this year, because 24 is at the end of the time frame that they're given to get out. Basically, you're gonna start. The IRS is about to be abolished.
Who collects taxes?
Congress's website. You can look up House Resolution 57. And what that resolution says is that they're going to abolish the IRS, and they're going to give a 20% tax for all corporate structures, which is basically corporate entities. All corporations and businesses are going to pay 20% tax. And the people will go back to what it was prior to the 13th Amendment, which is, we're going to have very little tax, if any. You won't have any income tax. You won't have any sales tax. You'll have property tax, but that's just as long as you don't take it out an allodial title on your property, then you're going to have to pay those taxes.
Wait a minute. Without the IRS, who enforces the tax code?
It's going to be I forget how they called it now, but it's a tax enforcement agency that's working through the Treasury. It's all in there. You can look it up. House Joint Resolution 57. It's all stated for 2024. That's a problem too, Tim. A lot of people don't go on the government's website. They have to publicize all this stuff that they're doing before they can do it by law. So they do that, but they do it very silently. So it's too bad that not enough Americans are going on the websites and looking at their websites, because if you would look at their websites, you would see for yourself what they're doing. You would see for yourself that I can guarantee you Trump isn't going to spend, first of all, for all you Democrats, Trump is not going to spend a single day in jail. He will get immunity for everything. And if you notice, every time he gets hit with something, a charge or whatever, an accusation or whatever you want to call it, it's always right after Hunter Biden is charged with something himself.
I want to ask you something. You said
election, and
I want to ask. You said we'll go back to the period before the 13th Amendment. Now the 13th Amendment abolished slavery. If we go back before the 13th Amendment, what are you alluding to?
I'm saying that because after it was the 13th Amendment was the first amendment. The 14th Amendment was the first amendment that they amended as corporate America, as USA Incorporated. That was when we were bailed out of our first bankruptcy. It happened in 1871.
Oh, shit. Now, you guys already know what happened. My last guest got banned from TikTok. So, as always, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone, but they removed him from the live stream. I normally tell my guests to try to appeal anytime you get banned. I don't think it would be successful for him at all, because he's talking about a second Declaration of Independence and things like that. So I'm not a fan of blocking or banning anyone at all. I don't do it on my program, but I don't think he would win an appeal, so I'm not even going to recommend it to him. It sucks, though. It does suck to lose guests to stuff like that, but TikTok has its method of operation, and they didn't want the man to speak, so they took him off the program. He does know that anytime he gets another account, he's always welcome back here anytime. I don't block, ban, or censor you because we have a difference of opinion. As he pointed out, me and him don't agree on any damn thing, but I do believe he's allowed to speak. But the app did ban him and take him off the program. Going back to the box, 98,000 likes. Wow, somebody showed your boy some love. I do appreciate that. Still about 600 plus of you in here, 633. I know my signal is getting weak. That always seems to happen with TikTok. I don't know why. After a certain period of time I'm on here, I think T-Mobile throttles me down or some shit like that. I don't know what it is. Yeah, Ant says got kicked for lying. DC says thank God for the TikTok. I don't like banning people. I don't. I just do not. Because I strongly believe silence in speech does not change hearts and minds. I see you guys said I have a great signal on YouTube. So anybody want to see the handsome liberal on YouTube, this same show is being broadcast on YouTube simultaneously. Although I'm using a tablet, so I don't think the visuals are as clear. I look like it's in the window, so I definitely believe the resolution is better on TikTok. But I am currently on YouTube right now under the Handsome Liberal Broadcasting Live as well. You and I and the rest of America was used as collateral for the debt we owed after the Civil War. Faceless American. Wow, that's kind of depressing. That is kind of depressing. Let me see if the box will work. Apparently it's not, so I think I'm gonna have to go ahead and wrap it up. My data has been throttled down to the point where the program is only of limited effectiveness with T-Mobile. After a certain period of time, they throttle down the speed of my data and I start chopping and breaking up. And I think that's what's happening now. Nevertheless, I do appreciate all of you folks riding with your boy throughout the program. 101,000 likes or whatever and still counting. I do appreciate you folks tapping the screen. I don't like leaving with hundreds of folks still tuned in, but I can't control the TikTok gods or T-Mobile. It's your boy Tim. Thank you for that. Star Grandma, appreciate that donation. All of you guys, appreciate that. Monday through Friday is where we generally are. You enjoy civilized dialogue, both sides of the aisle, without any fear of being blocked, banned, or censored. You are in the right place. Follow the program. For some of you folks on YouTube seeing me live, I don't normally do YouTube lives, but I am getting some support there. So I may continue doing some of them on YouTube as well. Subscribe if this is what you enjoy as well. Nevertheless, I don't have control over what's going on with the throttle. Look in the comments real quick. Somebody said the Trump Wi-Fi. Crystal, thank you for the lemonade. I appreciate that. The whole purpose of the live, just on the way out while the signal was good, was to ask, have you seen enough information coming from the Trump camp to defend his statement that he won by a quote-unquote landslide? Had a hell of a lot of Trump supporters. D-Dunn, shooting star, thank you. Had a hell of a lot of folks that support President Trump on the day. And in my humble opinion, the answer seems to be no. Even folks who do believe Trump won, and I had several people on today that believe he won, nobody seems to believe they've seen enough to suggest he won by a landslide. Even the folks that believe Trump won are saying maybe by a little bit, yeah, there was some fraud, the Democrats cheat, but I didn't get one person to say that, yeah, he won by a landslide. So where is President Trump getting that from? If it's one thing that will be, in my humble opinion, that will be a benefit of Trump being indicted, is letting him present what he has to the greatest of his abilities. Let the man talk. If you got evidence to suggest you won by a landslide, by golly, present that. But currently, you know what they're presenting? First Amendment free speech rights. You know, I totally support somebody having a First Amendment right to speak. But if his defense is, I have a right to lie just like any other politician, at the very least, that makes him look horrible. He's no longer, his lawyers are no longer presenting a case of we won. They're presenting a case of, just like anybody else, he has a right to say the election was stolen if he believes it, even if it's not true. Which makes you look back at January 6th, the rallies all over the country, and say, was it all a lie? Did you truly not believe what you were saying, but you said it because you have the First Amendment right to do so? That's what we're asking, because his attorneys are not presenting a case of he won. They're presenting a case that he had First Amendment rights to say what he said. Was all this for naught? Really? Thank you, Holloway. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Was it all for naught? People got killed. Damn it, people died because he suggested the election was stolen. First Amendment rights or not, is there any moral debt that you owe if you said something that you knew were not true, and it caused people like Ashley Babbitt or folks like the January 6th protesters to all acquire felonies on their records, thousands of dollars of legal fees, lots of days of their lives incarcerated because they believed what you were saying. Damn it, what you say, you should be able to prove it was true. How many lives have been ruined by that? If the only claim at the end of the day is I had a First Amendment right to say that, that is ridiculous. It should be based on some actual evidence. Not, I wanted to believe it, I felt it was true, so I went around the country saying it, and people were so stupid they decided to throw their lives away because they believed it. That just does not look right, even if it is legal to do it. It just doesn't come across as right. You should have to have some evidence to prove that. What's the difference between that and yelling fire in a crowded theater? People lost their lives, threw their lives away believing that. And I will submit this to you, whether or not you believe the election was taken or not, I have a difficult time looking at January 6th, which is only 2 months and 2 days after the election, and believing at that point already they had enough information to do what they did there that day. Maybe now you've seen more. Maybe you believe Dinesh D'Souza and 2,000 Mules, or maybe you believe some other investigation that has since come forward. But none of that had been presented on January 6th. Yet they acted with reckless abandon by the hundreds. Based on what? At that time, if you were a Trump supporter, all you had really to go on was what Trump was saying. They hadn't really produced any evidence on January 6th. Yet folks decided to really buy the farm, and they've thrown their whole lives away. First Amendment free speech right to put people in that much harm. And keep in mind, most of the folks that went to court trying to defend their freedom for how they behaved on January 6th, a lot of those folks are blaming Trump. They're not blaming Ray Epps. They're not blaming the liberals. They're in court fighting against the federal government for going in the Capitol building, and they're blaming Trump. Just want to say that. They're actually blaming Trump, not Ray Epps, not the liberals, not the federal government. Do you still believe the laptop is fake, says Big 357? No, I do not. I believe with Hunter Biden, where there is smoke, there is fire. However, I believe that Hunter Biden and President Trump can both be dealt with in a court of law. It's not deflection. We can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. You can prosecute both simultaneously. Right now with Hunter Biden, you can do your investigations on Hunter Biden. I say this even as a liberal. You're not going to get a fair investigation of a son of the president while he's still serving. Does that make Biden look bad? I'm willing to entertain that all day. You think Donald Trump Jr. or Eric would be properly investigated in an unbiased court of law while Trump is president? Would your parents leave you out to dry if they were the president of the United States? Any justice to be gotten on Hunter Biden is going to have to come when his dad's not president. All of us would enjoy that privilege if we had a president as a mom or dad. So to suggest that President Biden is doing something that's unfair for his kid or whatever, what the hell would you expect? You think Trump, Obama, Bush, Reagan, you don't think they would do that for their kids? You wouldn't do it for your child? You really think they're going to let their own damn kid go down in flames when they could just, with a stroke of a pen, pardon them? It's not going to happen. Trump is not president. So he's going to face the wrath of the court to a higher level than Hunter Biden. Not here to pretend like it's fair at all. But damn it, if my dad or mom is president, look out for your son. I'm going to say that. Also, with Hunter Biden, we're talking financial crimes. He didn't take the innocence of a child. No one was murdered or hurt or killed. It was a financial crime. Nobody's going to let their kid go down in flames for that if they can sign them out with a stroke of a pen. No matter what comes out of the Hunter Biden investigation, Biden is not going to leave the White House without pardoning his kid. You can take it as far as you want to go. But at the end of the day, Hunter Biden's going to receive a pardon. If that makes you feel better to go to Hunter Biden because of Trump, so be it, and vice versa. But at the end of the day, Hunter Biden's going to get a pardon from his dad. In the comments, Tong Dong says he stole millions of dollars. He didn't even steal it from the United States. I'm not saying Hunter Biden is innocent by any means of the imagination. I'm just simply saying it's a financial crime. He's not going to go down with a dad as president. If you use your father's name, his title at work to get paid, your father would pardon you. If your son did it, you'd pardon your son. Anybody suggesting otherwise is just being dishonest. It's a financial crime. At the end of the day, he got paid. That's really it. Nobody died, as I pointed out. No child was harmed. He just got paid. That's it. Anyhow, I appreciate you folks tuning in. Sorry, I do apologize for the connection, particularly on TikTok. And all of you folks on YouTube now, perhaps this will be a normal occurrence. I'll talk to you guys off camera. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. See you guys in the next video. You YouTubers, wow. Okay, TikTok's canceled. All right, you YouTubers. You guys know we normally do Uber videos. Do you guys favor this shit? Because if so, I can do political shows here on YouTube, and that would lead to me getting better equipment. The smartphone presents a really good show on TikTok. I'm on a tablet here on YouTube, and I know the lighting is not that great and things like that. The camera on the tablet is nowhere near the megapixel range of a phone. I do have higher equipment, but I never thought about doing live streams on YouTube because we do, I do the videos and I post some of my clips from TikTok on here. But if you guys favor live streams, political live streams, let me know. I can bring them here as well. Like this simulcast here, we can certainly do that. Looking in the comments, looks great here. Definitely will come back here to watch. Appreciate that. The signal is much better, but can you pull up guests? Kevin, when I started to do the live stream today, I was advised that there's a new feature on YouTube, and it did say you can pull up guests. I've never tried it. I'm not like totally internet savvy, so I need to figure it out. But apparently YouTube has made it so you can. So if that is the case, I will try and see if I can make it happen where I can pull up guests on here the same, because on TikTok it works very well. I've been doing live shows on TikTok for about a year now, and it works very well. I'm generally talking to an audience anywhere from a few hundred people to some cases as much as a couple thousand at once. So the following has grown rather significantly on TikTok. But YouTube, I do Uber videos and we talk about a little bit other shit. But now that I see some of you folks are favoring political live streams on YouTube, perhaps I will bring it here. Yeah, you can do it here now too. Have seen it. Says Sublime Reality. Okay. All right. Then if you guys favor it, I will find out. Now, how is the visuals? To me it looks on my screen, maybe because the sun is coming in, I don't know. And then obviously I'm in the car, and because of the way the tablet is set up, you can see the steering wheel and shit like that. You can't see that on TikTok. But if you can see it decently and the signal seems to be okay, then yeah, maybe we'll. Now the problem with YouTube is I see when you guys send a comment, but YouTube only keeps it on the screen for a quick second and it disappears. Like now I see it says not as good as TikTok, says Megan, so you don't see it as good. YouTube pays better, doesn't it? I don't get many donations, period, when it comes to live streams. So I cannot say yes or no on it. On YouTube, you can make revenue on the you know, the long form videos and things like that. But I've been here with you guys for a couple hours. Nobody's really donated anything. So, and that's the same thing on TikTok. 99% of the folks who view my live streams are not leaving donations. I do have some regular folks who show your boy some love, and I do appreciate it. I call it out every time it happens, but 99%. Listen, I'm a liberal, and I mostly talking to folks on the right, Trump supporters, which is what I prefer talking to. You're not going to get a lot of donations with a platform like that. I know the secret to getting donations. But that's not me. I'm a moderate. I like to be able to see both sides of the aisle. The secret to an African American like myself getting donations is to basically bash other African Americans. If I ran a program like Larry Elder, the Hodge twins, Candace Owens, just identified as a Republican and bashed African Americans and held them accountable for inner city crime, you know, welfare and all that, yeah, I would get a ton of donations. That's where the donations lie. But I don't want to run a platform solely based on bashing folks. I want to run a platform based on letting folks speak from both sides of the aisle without fear of being blocked, banned, or censored. The problem with that type of a platform is folks often tell me, pick a damn side. Either you're a liberal or you're a Republican. We don't have a lot of tolerance in our tribalistic society currently for a moderate individual, or what some folks would refer to as an independent or a free thinker. Right now, you need to pick a side. You need to be a liberal in the liberal camp, or you need to be a Trump supporter. I don't even think there's a lot of love for traditional Republicans right now. The Mike Pences, the Mitch McConnells, the Mitt Romneys. There's no love for those folks. You need to be either a liberal or MAGA. If you're not one of those, you can go to hell the way most folks in this political forum feels. You are so smart, handsome, please don't beg for gifts. People are doing that now on TikTok, and it's embarrassing for them. Yeah, I don't beg for gifts. I do appreciate them, but like I said, I've been doing live streams over a year now, and I've never been one, you know, asking for gifts over and over again. Which is why I do it in my free time. Now, the problem is with that, though, there are a lot of folks who favor the show from the standpoint of which I provide. They find it to be very entertaining. And they look forward to me being on during the day at a specific time. I used to show up every day at 11 a.m. But my day job had changes that made my schedule fluctuate. I also used to do a night show at 7 p.m. every night. People, well, where the hell you are? I've been looking for you. Well, because the show does not have donations and there's no financial gain from the show, I have to make a living. So I cannot maintain a solid schedule when I need to go out and make a living. So it is what it is. Looking in the comments, Kevin says, I think the paid subscription was a good idea. The moment I tried that, people wrote me in the comments, I love your show, but I can't be paying to see it. People want ape shit about that. I had a viewer recommend a paid subscription, so I decided to try it for the night show. I was going to lead a day show as a free show, which is what I do. I don't do many night shows. I don't do many weekend shows like we're doing now. I did it once, and instantly people were in the comments like, what the hell are you doing, a paid subscription? So at the end of the day, just like with my Uber viewers, there are people who are not going to tip you no matter what. So I don't care how good of a ride you provide. I'm not going to give you a tip. Don't ask me for one. And that's what the inbox is blowing up with people going against the paid subscription. It's like, how the hell could you have a paid only show? So I don't know how it could be done, but otherwise just letting the viewers know that as long as I have to, have a day job, understand the show is not going to have a regular schedule. Things happen in my day job that may make it so I got to come on at 1 instead of 11, or some days I can't come on at all. So it is what it is. Bridgie Cawthorn says, you are worth paying to listen to. That is one of the greatest accolades I've received in a long time. Damn, really? Appreciate that. The suggestion that yours truly is worth paying to listen to, I take that as an honor. I do. Hell, like I said, I would have no problem doing a daily show on the issues of the day. But It is what it is. You can only do it when you have time to do it as opposed to earning a living. Nevertheless, I've been here long enough chewing you guys' ears off. So for some of my Uber viewers here on YouTube, if you guys are out earning money, hopefully you're making a good clip. As I always say on my Uber videos, keep your fucking defensive tools on you. Mace, some type of stabbing or poking tool, everything from a screwdriver to a butcher knife. Keep some shit on you, up to and including the firearm. Shout out to my Second Amendment folks. Agreed, Bridget. Thank you guys for the good job. Sponsorship, Hallie. I do get some sponsorships. You see the bike videos, the scooter videos that you see intermittently. Those are people that have sent me those devices to do reviews on. So I do get some occasional sponsorships. In fact, I got somebody sending me some type of car stereo or something like that. So I do get some of those, but very few. They're not very, they're infrequent. They're infrequent at best. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Appreciate you folks tuning in. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. See you on the next broadcast.